The border no one crossed in the far reaches of the galaxy, where stars burned bright and empires rose and fell. There was one region of space that no one dared to enter. It was marked on every star map, yet no one truly understood it. Pilots called it human space. Unlike other borders, it had no warning signs, no defense stations, no massive fleets waiting in silence. There were no threats carved into metal or broadcast across space. There was only emptiness. Alien traders avoided it. Military fleets plotted long routes around it. Even the most aggressive empires chose silence over curiosity. Stories spread through space stations and war councils. Ships that entered never returned. Some said humans were weak and afraid. Others believed humans had destroyed themselves long ago, a dead species guarding empty stars. But older beings, those who had lived for centuries, never laughed at such ideas. They remembered something else. Long ago, humans had been loud. They explored fast and spoke boldly. They fought wars, lost worlds, and learned painful lessons. Then one day, humans stopped expanding. They closed their borders and vanished into silence. The galaxy moved on. New powers rose. Stronger weapons were built, and fear slowly turned into doubt. Maybe the stories were lies. At the edge of human space, a massive alien fleet gathered. They belonged to the Carrion Empire, a species known for conquest. Their ships were large, sharp, and glowing with energy. They had crushed dozens of civilizations. To them, fear was a weakness. The Carrion commanders studied the empty stars ahead. No signals, no movement, no signs of life. It looked like abandoned space. "This is nothing," one commander said. "Humans are gone." Another laughed and agreed. If they were strong, they would show it. The fleet advanced, crossing the invisible line that marked the human border. Nothing happened. No alarms, no weapons fire. Space remained quiet. At first, the Carrion felt victorious. They sent scouts. Deeper inside, the scouts reported the same thing. Empty systems, silent planets, untouched stars. But then, something felt wrong. Long-range sensors began to fail. Navigation systems showed strange readings. Time markers slowly drifted out of sync. The commanders blamed equipment errors. They pushed forward, eager to claim new territory. That was when the first ship disappeared. There was no explosion, no distress signal. One moment it was there, the next moment it was simply gone. The fleet stopped. Fear crept into the minds of the Carrion officers. Another ship vanished, then another. Still no weapons fire, still no enemy in sight. Only silence, deep and heavy. The stars ahead seemed darker now, as if space itself was watching. The Carrion fleet tried to turn back, but their engines responded slowly. Then a calm signal reached their command ship. Clear, steady, and human. This border was closed for a reason. The voice said, "You were warned long ago." The message ended, and silence returned. At that moment, the galaxy took its first step toward understanding fear. The first mistake. The Carrion fleet floated in silence after the human message ended. No one spoke. No one laughed anymore. The calm human voice did more damage than any weapon. It carried no anger, no threat, only certainty. The Carrion commanders tried to regain control. They told themselves this was a trick, a simple fear tactic. Humans were known for words, not power, or so they believed. Orders were given to scan the area again. Sensors flickered and failed. Some showed empty space. Others showed stars that were not there. Reality itself felt unstable. One commander suggested retreat. The idea was quickly rejected. The Carrion Empire did not retreat. Retreat meant weakness, and weakness invited rebellion. The fleet moved deeper into human space, slowly and carefully, weapons charged but unused. Every ship stayed close to the others. That was when the silence grew heavier. Not empty silence, but watching silence. The stars dimmed slightly. Communication between ships lagged by seconds, then minutes. Crew members reported strange feelings, as if time itself was dragging. Another ship vanished. This time, everyone saw it happen. No flash, no sound. It folded inward and disappeared, like it was never real. Panic spread across the fleet. Orders overlapped. Pilots shouted reports. Engineers claimed the laws of physics were breaking. The Carrion fired weapons into empty space. Energy beams cut through nothing. Missiles vanished before reaching their targets. There was still no enemy. "It's impossible," one officer said. "We are under attack by nothing." Then the human signal returned. Cliff again, calm again. "You're experiencing containment protocols," the voice said. "Remain still." The message cut off. The word containment echoed in every mind. The carrion tried to escape. Engines roared at full power, but space resisted them, as if an invisible hand pressed against every ship. Smaller vessels were pulled apart, not violently, but gently, like toys removed from a table. Crew members watched in horror as their fleet shrank. Ship by ship, layer by layer, the commanders demanded answers. Who were the humans? What kind of power was this? At last, a human ship appeared. It was small, simple, almost unimpressive. No weapons were visible, no shields flared. It simply existed. A visual channel opened. A human stood on the screen. Older, calm eyes full of control. "You crossed a line that protects the galaxy," the human said. "We do not rule space. We guard it." The Karian realized then that this was not a battle. It was a mistake, a final one. The human ship turned away. The containment field tightened, and the Karian fleet faded into silence. Far beyond human space, distress signals spread. Stories moved faster than light. Empires listened, and fear began to grow. Human space was not empty, it was watching. Humans do not warn twice across the galaxy. The disappearance of the Karian fleet spread like a dark whisper. Trade lanes grew quiet. Military councils paused their wars. Every species asked the same question: what truly lived inside human space? Old records were pulled from forgotten archives. Ancient data crystals were opened again. What many found made even the strongest leaders uneasy. Humans were not conquerors. They were not peaceful dreamers either. Long ago, humans had faced something terrible, something that did not belong to normal space. It came without warning. It erased stars and bent reality. Many species ran. Many were destroyed. Humans stayed. They fought when others fled. They learned when others denied. And when they finally won, they made a choice. They sealed the danger inside their own territory and closed their borders forever. Human space was not a kingdom, it was a wall. A new alien coalition formed in secret, made of fearful but curious species. They believed the Karian had failed because they were careless. This time, they would be careful. This time, they would demand answers. A small diplomatic fleet approached the human border. No weapons charged, no battle formations, only signals of peace. The fleet stopped at the invisible line. They waited. For the first time, humans answered immediately. A human station decloaked from nothing, smooth, dark, and silent. It looked ancient and advanced at the same time. The coalition leaders felt pressured just by seeing it. A human representative appeared on screen, calm face, steady voice, no symbols of rank, no sign of fear. "You are at the edge of human space," the human said. "This border exists to protect all of you." The coalition demanded proof. They asked why fleets vanished, why humans hid, why silence was their answer to the galaxy. The human did not argue. Instead, he shared a single image, a recording of space tearing itself apart, stars collapsing like paper, whole systems erased. "In seconds, this is what we guard," the human said. "It is contained. But only because we never fail." One alien leader asked the question everyone feared. "What happens if you fail?" The human paused. For the first time, emotion touched his voice. "Then the galaxy ends." The coalition tried to retreat, but the human raised a hand. "Remember this," he said. "Humans do not warn twice." The station vanished. The border went silent again. Far away, hidden, eyes were watching. An ancient intelligence felt the movement at the border. It sensed fear, it sensed attention, and it began to stir deep inside human space. Alarms sounded for the first time in centuries. Human fleets moved from shadows, not in panic, but in preparation. Commanders spoke calmly. Soldiers took their cliffs as humanity had always known this moment might come. Beyond the border, the galaxy held its breath. They finally understood the truth. Human space was not forbidden out of pride. It was forbidden out of duty. And whatever humans were guarding was starting to wake. The truth behind human space. Deep inside human space, movement spread like a quiet storm. Ships that had slept for centuries powered on. Stations hidden inside stars and shadows came alive. Every action was calm. Every step was planned. Humans had prepared for this moment long ago, not with fear, but with patience. At the center of human territory, far from any border, a region of space twisted unnaturally. Stars there did not shine correctly. Light bent in strange ways. Time moved slower. This was the prison. The ancient threat was not a species. It was a force, a living hunger that consumed reality itself. It had no form, no voice, only endless need. Long ago, it had entered the galaxy by accident. Following energy in life, civilizations fell before they understood what was happening. Weapons passed through it like smoke. Defenses meant nothing. Humans were the first to survive an encounter. They lost worlds, they lost billions, but they learned. They discovered the force, reacted to observation, to fear, to attention. So humans did something no one else would. They stopped looking. They built a prison of folded space, powered by human minds and machines, a cage that existed only because humans believed it must. Then they turned away from it, guarding without watching. This was why the border was silent, why no ships were allowed inside. Every outsider who entered disturbed the balance. Even curiosity was dangerous. At the Human Council, commanders reviewed the latest readings. The prison was stable, but barely. The attention from the galaxy had weakened it. A single human voice spoke softly. "The galaxy is afraid again." Another answered, "And fear makes it stronger." Outside human space, alien empires felt the change. Strange signals spread across. Sensors. Old stars flickered. Gravity waves rolled through quiet systems. They did not understand the cause, but they felt the warning. Inside the prison, the ancient force pressed against its walls, not breaking them, testing them. For the first time in centuries, humans increased their presence. Fleets moved closer, not to fight, but to stabilize reality itself. A message was sent beyond the border, not a threat, not a demand. Do not look toward human space. Do not speak of what lies within. Silence is safety. Many species listened, some did not. In the dark between galaxies, something older than stars noticed the disturbance. It felt the prison weaken. It felt the Watchers return. And it smiled. Back on Earth, the home world of humanity. Ancient systems activated beneath the surface. Devices older than recorded history hummed to life. Humanity had one final answer if the prison failed. They hoped they would never need it. As the galaxy stood on the edge of understanding, human space pulsed once, like a warning heartbeat. The truth was now clear. Humans were not hiding. They were holding the door shut. Fear finally has a name the prison did not break. It spoke, not with sound, not with language, but with pressure on reality itself. Across human space, stars flickered, as if unsure they should exist. Time slipped by fractions of seconds, then minutes. Human sensors screamed with silent alarms. For the first time, the ancient force pushed back. Human commanders remained calm. They had trained for this moment across generations. Every human ship took its position, not in attack lines, but in patterns designed to hold space together. Outside the border, alien species felt it too. A deep fear that had no source. Worlds grew quiet. Wars stopped mid-battle. Even the proudest empires paused. They finally understood fear had a shape. The ancient force reacted to attention, and the galaxy was watching now. Billions of minds, focused on human space, feeding the thing they did not understand. Inside the prison, reality bent like thin glass. Dark fractures formed, not holes, but absences. Human fleets moved closer, sacrificing distance for control. Some ships vanished as they entered unstable zones. No explosions, only quiet erasure. Human crews did not panic. They knew the cost. They paid it willingly. A final message was sent from Earth, not to the galaxy, but to every human. Do not fear. Do not look. Hold your ground. Humanity responded in silence. Millions of minds focused on stability, on containment, on holding the line. The ancient force resisted. It pressed harder, stronger. It wanted freedom. It wanted the galaxy. For a moment, the prison nearly failed. Stars dimmed across multiple systems. Alien leaders believed the end had come. Then something changed. The ancient force slowed, confused. The fear feeding it was fading. Across the galaxy, species turned away. Sensors were shut down. Records were sealed. Stories stopped spreading. They trusted humans. At last, the prison stabilized. Their fractures sealed. Reality settled back into place. Deep inside containment, the force withdrew. Not defeated, but denied. The galaxy learned the truth that day. Fear was not a weapon, it was a danger, and humans were the only ones strong enough to face it without looking away. Respect earned in silence, the galaxy did not celebrate after the prison stabilized. There were no cheers, no victory songs, only quiet understanding. Human fleets slowly returned to their hidden positions. Damaged ships were recovered. Lost ships were remembered without words. Humans did not call themselves heroes. They simply resumed their duty. Beyond the border, alien empires changed their maps. Human space was no longer marked as unknown. It was marked as protected. Warning beacons were placed far from the border. Clear and simple messages repeated across space. No species enters. For the first time in galactic history, a rule was obeyed by everyone, not because of force, but because of respect. Alien leaders met in quiet halls. They spoke of humans differently now, not as weak, not as mysterious, but as guardians. Old records were unsealed and rewritten. The truth was shared carefully, without images, without fear, only enough to remember the lesson. Humanity never demanded thanks. They never asked for payment. They did not expand their borders. They did not seek control. They simply watched. On Earth, people lived their normal lives. Cities rebuilt, quietly. Children looked up at peaceful stars, unaware of how close the galaxy had come to ending. Human commanders stood in silent rooms, monitoring systems older than nations, prepared to act again if needed. They knew the ancient force still existed, still waited, still tested its cage. But it had learned something new. The galaxy could deny it, because humans showed them how. Far beyond known space, curious species listened to the warnings and turned away. Fear no longer pushed them forward. Wisdom held them back. Human space remained dark and silent, not empty, not abandoned, alive. And so the galaxy finally understood. Fear was not loud. It was calm, patient, and watching. No species entered human space again. Not because they were forced to stay out, but because they finally knew what fear truly meant.